Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial we are going to be learning how to cut and sew this bustier blouse with a one-sided inverted Queen Anne neckline and a curvy blouse edge. So this tutorial contains of the pattern drafting, cutting and sewing of this particular blouse. If this is something that interests you, make sure that you watch this video to the end. Now with no further ado, let's get into the video and start learning. I have my pattern paper folded into two, and already on the top of my pattern paper I drew a straight line across which will serve as the shoulder line. Now from that shoulder line I will take my other vertical measurements. So the first measurement I'm taking now is my chest line at 8 inches. Then I'll also take my bust point line at 10 inches. So to get your chest line, just divide your bust circumference by 6 and add 2 inches to that. So I'm going to be drawing a straight line across my chest line like this, and I will also draw a straight line across the bust point. So my bust point is at 10 inches while the chest line is at 8 inches. Then from that first line, which is the shoulder line, I'm going to be taking my under bust measurement also. So my under bust is at 13 inches, and I'm just going to mark that and also draw a straight line across. Then the next line I'm going to be taking is the waistline. Mine is at 17 inches. I'm going to mark that and also draw a straight line across. And the last line that I'll be drawing across this pattern paper is the blouse length for this top, and mine is going to be at 25 inches. So that's how long I want my top to be. You can maintain any length that you want. So I'll just label my lines. That's my shoulder line, this is the chest line, this is the bust point, this is the under bust, and this is the waistline. Then the last line is the top length. So I'm going to be working on these lines. From the shoulder line, I'm going to be dividing my shoulder measurement by 2. Mine is 8 inches. I'll place it on both the shoulder line and on the chest line, and I'll draw a straight line to connect them together. Then on the neck area, I'm going to be going in by 3.5 inches for the wideness of the neck. Then on this line I'll come down by 1 inch and connect that to the neck width that I just measured now with a slanting line to form the shoulder slope. Then I'll mark the midpoint of this straight line, come in by 1/2 inch, and also place my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. Then I'll connect those 3 points together to form my armhole cuff. So when I'm done doing this, the next thing is to place my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on all my lines starting from the bust point. So mine is 8, and that divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So I'm just measuring 4 inches from the middle of my pattern paper on all my lines. Then I'm going to connect those points together on each of the lines to form a straight line. Now the next thing after drawing a straight line across like this is to get the dart starting from the under bust. So on this under bust line, I'm going to be placing 1/2 inch on the side that is going to the middle, which is the smaller side, and on the other side of the straight line, which is the side that is coming to the side, I'm going to be placing 1.5 inch. So I'm going to repeat the same process on the waistline, and I will also repeat it on the top length line. So I gave 1/2 inch to the side that is smaller and is going to the middle, while I gave the 1.5 inch to the side that is coming to the other side here. Then I'm going to be connecting those points together on both sides with a straight line. So just connect those 3 points together on both sides. And once I'm done connecting now, from the bust points, I'm going to be coming down by 1/2 inch. So this is just to prevent gaping, and I'm going to be connecting it with a slight curve to the under bust on both sides. Now after I've done this, I'm going to work on the princess darts. So I'm going to be connecting from the bust point to that midpoint of the armhole with a slight curve, as you can see. And on both sides of that new line, I will come out by 1/2 inch like this, and I'll connect them to the bust points using a slight curve also. So make sure this is not too curvy, neither is it too straight while you are doing it. Okay, so now after this, I'm going to be creating another line over the chest line. So that place is going to be where the neck is going to stop at the end of the day. So I'm just going up by 1 inch from the chest line, and I'm just marking it. So this is totally optional. You can maintain your chest line for this, but I just decided to come up a little bit from the chest line. Then after that, I'm going to be extending my armhole here so that will not be short of fabric. So I'll measure what I have in between my darts, which is 1 inch. Then I will extend the leg of this first dart with 1 inch, and I'll also extend my chest line measurement by 1 inch. I'll connect those 2 points together, and this is the new armhole. So we don't need the former armhole again in that area. Now to get the Queen Anne neckline, I'm going to be coming out by half of an inch from that princess that side, and I'll connect that half of an inch to my neckline, to the place where the neckline ended. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, just watch what I'm doing. So I've connected that to the points, and this area is going to serve as the neckline. Then from that new line again, which I said is where the neckline ended, I'm going to come up by 2.5 inch to get that cuff that we have on the neckline, and I'm just going to use my curved rule to connect it to that half an inch point. So can you see how it is? I'll just use my hand to blend it in together. So this is how it's looking like, and the neckline is ready, or let me say it's almost ready. Now on the waistline, I'll take my waist measurement divided by 4. I'm going to place it, then I'll measure what I have between my darts, and I'll replace it on the waistline. So I have 2 inches between the darts, and I'm replacing it. And also on the top length line, I'm going to measure my hip measurement divided by 4 and replace what I have in between the darts. Then I'm going to connect from the chest line to my waistline and also to the top length to form the side seam of this blouse. So when I'm done with that, I'll just go ahead and add extra 1.5 inch allowance for sewing. So I'm just adding the sewing allowance right from the pattern paper now, so that we don't need to start adding it again when we are cutting on the main fabric. So after doing this, I'm just going to be cutting this out. So these are the areas that we are going to be cutting out. They are not necessary. That's the neck area. We are also cutting it out. So just watch the way that I'm going to be cutting this out now. So when you're cutting out this area, you have to be very careful so that you don't cut it out all the way. The shoulder is still supposed to be connected to the bodice like this. So opening the pattern up, this is what we have. So can you see the curve at the neckline area and how the Queen Anne neckline is being formed? So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I notch my bust points, because it's very important. It's going to help while joining the blouse together at the end of the day. So now to get the one-sided curve at the neckline area, I'm going to be working on that part of the neck that goes up like this, and on one side like this, I'll come down by about 1.5 inch. Then I'll draw a curve starting from the middle to meet that 1.5 inch, and also to meet the place where the neckline ended originally, and I'll use my scissors to just trace that out. So can you see how the curve is looking like now? We have it on just one side, and that's just what we are looking at to achieve. So I'm going to work on the back part of this blouse now. I already have my lines placed on the pattern paper already, and I also did my shoulder slant. Then I'm going to label my lines. That's my shoulder line, this is the chest line, this is the bust point, this is the waistline, and this is the top length. So this back pattern is not folded into two because that's not needed. Then I'm going to be placing my bust circumference divided by 4 measurements on the chest line, and I'll just give it a curve like this to form the armhole curve. Then I'll place my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 inches on all my lines, starting from the chest line down to the waistline to the top length also. And I will connect those 4 points together with a straight line in order to form my dart. Now on the waistline, I'll come out by half an inch on both sides of that line. Then I'll connect to the chest line like this. And I'll also connect to the top length line, but I'll come up by about 2 inches from the top length line before I connect back to the waistline. So this is the dart for the back pattern. So I'll just go ahead now and place my horizontal measurement, my waist divided by 4. I'll place it, then I'll replace what I have inside the dart, and I also place my hip measurement divided by 4 on the top length area. Then I'll connect these points together. So the back is actually supposed to have a zipper, but I'm going to be adding the zipper on the main fabric. So I'm just placing my sewing allowance also, which is 1.5 inch on all the lines, and I'll also connect that together. So when we are cutting out on the fabric, we are not going to be adding sewing allowance. It's just going to be the zipper allowance. Now to get the neck design of the back, my neck width is already 3.5 inches, just like the way we have it in front. Then I'll also come up by 1 inch from the chest line area at the back also, and draw a new straight line across. Then from the armhole side of this new line that I drew, I'm going to come in by about 2.5, or you can make it 3 inches. This is just to get the Queen Anne neckline shape. So I just connected it from the neck area now to the 2.5 inches that I just measured. So I'm going to be cutting out that neck area, and that's just majorly all for this back pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And I'm also going to cut the neck area. So this is what the back is looking like. Then on this waistline area, I'll be coming in by half of an inch to eliminate zipper bulge. Then I'll connect that with a slight curve to the top like this, and also connect it with a slight curve to the down of the pattern. So this is just to make sure to eliminate zipper bulge at the end of the day. So I just cut that out, and here this is what the back pattern looks like. So I'm going to be adding the zipper allowance on the main fabric. Now it's time to cut out the patterns on the main fabric. So this is the center front, so I just spread it on my main fabric like this, and I'm going to be cutting out one piece of this. So while I cut, I'm just going to be adding half an inch joining allowance all the way around, except to the armhole area. So I'm going to be adding it to both the sides. As you can see, I'm going to be adding it to the shoulder area like this, and also to the neck area. So these are just joining allowance, so that we'll not be short of fabric while we're joining this, or it's not going to be too short at the end of the day. So after cutting, I'm going to notch the bust points of this center front. Then I'll go ahead and also cut the side front. So this is the side front, and I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces of this. So I folded the pattern, I folded the main fabric into 2, and I'm also adding half an inch to all necessary areas except the side, which we already have our seam allowance present, and also the armhole area. So this is what the side front is looking like. Then on the back pattern, remember that we are adding our zipper allowance. So I'm adding a zipper allowance of 1.5 inch for the back pattern, and that's just the major thing that we are doing on the back pattern on the main fabric. Then after this, I'm just going to also go ahead and cut this out, also adding half an inch allowance in the necessary areas except the side and the armhole. So this is what the back also looks like. So these are my pieces. I already ironed fusible interfacing to the main fabric and also ironed my wording. I ironed the wording on the main fabric for the front, then fusible interfacing on the main fabric and also on the linings. But for the back, I only ironed the fusible interfacing on the main fabric while I didn't iron it on the lining. So if you want, you can also do that, but I was just short of the interfacing, so I just left it at the main fabric alone. So I'm going to be joining my front pieces together first, and I'm just trying to arrange them as they are, and I'm going to place them right sides facing each other like this, making sure that the bust point aligns, and I'm just using my pins to secure them down to show you how I'm going to sew it on the sewing machine. So the way I join them together like this, I'll head ahead to the sewing machine and sew it with half an inch seam allowance, and when I sew, I make sure that the bust point aligns. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. After doing that, this is what I have. Then I'll go ahead and notch my stitches. So this is what I'm just doing. I'm going to notch them properly all the way around on both sides of the bustier. So after doing that, this is what my bustier is looking like. You can also go ahead and give it a good press and iron it. So I've joined the lining together just the same way I joined the main fabric, and I'm going to place the lining on the main fabric right sides facing each other. Then I'll go ahead to join them together with half an inch seam allowance, making sure that I sew the neck area very well and the cuff comes out. I'll also join the side with half an inch seam allowance, and this is what I have when I joined them together. So I left the down side, the down part of the top and the armhole area to join, to turn it over at the end of the day. So notch the neck area very well properly, especially those corners. I'm notching it properly so that when I turn it, it's going to look really nice. Then I'm also going to go ahead and cut out the excesses that I have on the side, and then I'm going to turn this to the right side. So if you have watched the tutorial up to this moment, thank you very much. I celebrate you. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, drop a comment before you go, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not. Also turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified when I drop helpful tutorials like this. So this is what the top looks like when I turned it to the other side. Just need to go ahead now and give this a good press. Then I'll work on the back part of the blouse, and I'm going to be placing the main fabric and the lining right sides facing each other. So I'm just trying to arrange them the way they are supposed to be. So I'm going to place the fabric on the lining right sides facing each other, and I will head ahead to the sewing machine and sew with half an inch around the neck and the sides. So the neck area and the sides, I'm going to sew them with half an inch all around. Then I'll turn it. So after turning it, this is what I have on both sides. Then I'll go ahead to place my darts. So I'll just go in with about 5.5 inches, because we added zipper allowance, so the bust span measurements would have increased. So that's 5.5 inches, and I'll measure it all the way to the down part of this top like this and connect with a straight line. Then on the waist area, I'm going to come out by half of an inch. The waist area is at 17 inches, so I'm going to come out by half of an inch on both sides, just like we did it on the pattern paper. So I'm just repeating the same thing. I'll connect it to the chest line area up there, and I'll also do the same thing to the down parts, coming up from the down part of the blouse by 2 inches. Then I'll connect my darts all the way. So I'm going to do the same thing also on the other part of the back, and I'll take in my darts. So after doing that, this is what I have. So can you see how it is? Then the next thing is to add the zipper to the back of this top. So I'm going to be leaving about half an inch on the downside of this blouse while adding the zipper, because the down part is not yet totally done. We are still going to be working on it, so I'll leave half an inch for that. So after joining it, this is what I have. The next thing now is just to join the front and the back together. So placing them right sides facing each other like this, I'm going to be joining the shoulder area first, and I'm going to be opening this up like this. Then I'll join lining to lining and main fabric to main fabric. So join them together right sides facing each other, and sew lining together with lining and main fabric together with main fabric. Just make sure that they align at the middle while you sew that. So I'll go ahead to the sewing machine and do that now. After I was done, this is what I have. Then I'll also go ahead to use my bodice measurements to join the side of this top. So I'll head ahead to the sewing machine now and use my bust, waist and hip measurements to join this top at the sides. Once I'm done doing that, I'll now head ahead to work on the shape on the downside of this top. So I decided to wear mine and do it on my body, but you can also do this on the table if you want. So I'm just drawing a shape. This video is not really that clear, but what I'm doing here is I'm drawing the desired shape that I want on the down part of this particular blouse. So when I'm done, I'll just grab my scissors and I'll cut this out. So like I said, you can decide to do this on your table. It's not necessary that you wear it or your clients wear it before you do this. I just decided to do my own like this so that I will see what the outcome will look like on my body. So I'm just taking a good look at it and trimming off what I don't want and all. I'm also going to trim the sides, and once I'm done, I'm going to take the top off and I'll go back to my sewing table. Yeah, so here we are again on the sewing table. Then I'm going to be using a strip to close up the end of this top like a bias. So I've already cut out a strip. This strip is very long and it measures 1.5 inches wide, and I also ironed stay on it to make it stronger. So I'm going to be sewing it on one part of the top like this. I'll start from the inside. I'll sew it all the way around with half an inch like this, and I'm going to turn it over and use it to complete the folding up like a bias. And I also cut out a normal short sleeve to join together to this top, and that's all. So this is the outcome of the top. As you can see here, this is how it looks like at the end of the day. So thank you for watching. If you have found this tutorial helpful so far, make sure you give it a thumbs up, drop a comment in the comment section. If you have any question, I'll be in the comment section replying to you. And don't also forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever I drop videos like this. So bye till I see you in my next tutorial.